everyone, just starting today's stream now. Just checking the sound level, looks to be pretty much okay. Slightly quiet. Let me tweak this. Slightly louder. And again. Right, where were we? So last time, let's make this a bit bigger. Last time we were working on a VSCode extension. And let me think, and it wasn't working, and it's not working for some bizarre reason. We'll have a look at that now. It's a really gloomy day outside. It's been raining for the last hour or two. I'm okay, Gareth. How's the weather down your way? Is it raining down there as well? And I've got my Community F-sharp Hero Cup from 2015. A nice cup of tea. I think everything's running. The sound seems to be hitting the right level in OBS. Like I was saying on the chat, I put I did want to use my what's it called? iPad. I wanted to use my iPad with Sidecar, so I could put in the chat window, and I could put my stream tracker and any notes that I might need. I mean, I don't have any notes, but if I had some, they would all go in my iPad, and I could look down in front of me. But as soon as I put 10 Sidecar on, OBS just has a fit, throws all the packets in the bin, and just has a hissy fit, and it's not good. So anyway, I've scrapped Sidecar, and I've just got my Twitch inspector on down below, so I can keep an eye on the stream. Definitely need 2 or 3 monitors for streaming. I've got my MacBook over the left, but it's awkward to see. Right, so let's get going. So, make this a bit bigger because we don't need this yet. I still haven't fixed this. I know what the issue is, but it's just annoying that I have to have all these telemetry things running. So you can see all the telemetry stuff running here. UHF, Microsoft.com, MSCC statics. So that's what this is. If I allow that, then I get rid of this crap. So basically, in our extension, it's not going well. Extension context is not defined. So what we can do, make the font bigger. And I've got someone new as well. Celestian. Hi Celestian. We're just looking at why this wasn't working last time. Oh, a nice mug of tea. So it looks like it can't find this for whatever reason. It's not defined. Now if we look at what do we need to check first? We've got our packet dependencies. We've got this Fable import VSCode. We've got our source code. We've got our packet references. We've got our Fable import VSCode. So that should be working. Then, if we look at the red squiggles, the module namespace Fable import.js from compilation unit Fable core did not contain the namespace module or type promise like 1. Now I think the problem is that this import, Fable import VSCode, is ancient. It's probably last updated around, let's have a look. So we got last updated 2017. That's ancient. That probably predates Fable 2. And I reckon this promise malarkey here, promise like, has been moved or changed or fiddled with in some way in the interim time. I reckon what we do is we'll try this theory out. Get rid of that import and the error goes away. We still get this error because it isn't defined. So that kind of proves it's this. So what we'll do, we'll scrap that. We'll go in packet dependencies, new kit, and then we'll also take out of here as well. Save all these off, and this is never going to work until we sort this out. So we'll add a new file in, and what we'll do is we will create our own. So we're going to be gluttons for punishment and make yet another Fable binding, but for VS Code. And what we use are TypeScript definitions, and we'll hack it where we need to just to make this little piece of functionality work, so we can get an fsharp version of our the TypeScript that we did last time, which invoked the tooltip at a location on the screen. So we'll call this VSCode binding .fs. And make this window a little bit bigger because I can't see what's going on. This window's annoying. It's really annoying, that. That's better. Get rid of this guy. So what's this one? That's our web window, so we'll go back directory and then we'll go back to I think we called it throw me away later. Is that what it was? Yeah. So if we go inside, what do we need to do? We need to grab the TypeScript bindings. So Probably got some of these in my command history. I can't be bothered to look up the syntax. There we go. So we'll add in types for VSCode. And we'll wait for them to kick in. Now if we go into node modules and types, we'll have our types in here now. Now if we just grab these out, shove them into TS to Fable, paste them in, and we should get a whole load of stuff back. A quick look to see what this looks like. It's very long, there's a lot of generated stuff here. I'm just looking for anything which looks inherently bad for an fsharp binding, just to make sure it'll probably work. I'm going to grab all of this, close these windows, and I'll minimize that out of the way. I can dump these in here, right back to the top. It looks alright. Let's call this module VSCode, and it's having a bit of a whinge because it doesn't know what the hell any of this stuff is, because it doesn't know about the project. That's because we never added into the project. So if we look in the project file, we can just dump another file in above. And what do we call it? It is VSCode binding. Add that in there. This should start to resolve. Maybe we need to reopen. There we go. Right, so we've got, this is type checked. That looks like it's good to go. And we've got an error down here. This is very wordy code. So, type error is not an abstract interface type. Error is an alias for system exception. Yep, you're right, it's not an abstract type. What I can do with this is we'll just inherit error, the base constructor. Don't really care about this too much, to be honest. Right, so let's get rid of that error. So now, if we go back to our extension, we should be able to define extension context. So if we open up VSCode, it's going to be double nested interface, I think. Oh, we're getting a weird input there. The namespace module Fable import JS from compilation Fable call did not contain the namespace module or type function. So that doesn't look good. Tell you what, we'll reload the whole editor just to make sure we're in the right ballpark. VSCode, that's horrible. But it's building now, and let's see what happens. So this will be an npm run watch. That starts off the watcher running, and the Fable splitter does its stuff. So this is complaining that VSCode is not defined. It's because I didn't save the file. Compilation succeeded. Okay, so if we start the debugger off for this, see what happens. So we've got our little window that's spawned up here. And we'll say chatbot is alive. And we'll reload this window. Has that run? I don't know. Oh yeah, here we go. So CUD's being run, chatbot is alive, we've hit this point, which is good. So I think what we need to do is create a new command called execute hover, an arbitrary args input, create an active editor which is based on, where is it? I think it's within window. I can't remember where it was from the last stream. Window active editor. Yeah, window active editor. So that should give us an active editor. So what we're going to do is just replicate what we had last time and make it nice and simple. Let URI equals. So what is an active editor? Active editor is an option text editor. Now, because this is coming back from the Fable bindings, because the Fable bindings, it's saying that this is a text editor option. And if we looked at our old code, which I can't remember where it is, I think it used the option operator in TypeScript, the dot question mark. So what we'll do is we need to get a URI, but only if the active editor is not none. So we could use pattern matching, or we could just pipe it through. Something like this, active editor, option.map, and then active editor, and then we do active editor dot document dot URI. So this will get us back a URI as an option, because it depends on whether the active editor exists or not. Next thing, we need a position. I'll abbreviate these quite heavily because my text font size is huge. So again, active editor, option map, active editor dot, active editor dot, document, active selection, active editor section, active. I think that is what we want. And now we would want to do commands, execute command, and this is where I had no idea of the syntax because I don't know what the Fable bindings have generated themselves. Hi Chris, welcome to the stream. Again, are you planning on doing any streams today or this week, Chris? Because I know you threatened to do one. Oh yeah, that's also one thing to try, Chris. Try using Sidecar while you're doing the stream quality test and see if it botches things up, because I decided to use Sidecar today, and as soon as I enabled Sidecar, OBS just had a fit and it was dropping every single packet, so I had to disconnect it and can't use Sidecar. So Chris says he's probably going to do something tomorrow, so that'll be probably some new cool tooling feature, not some botched attempt like mine. I look forward to that. So we're going to execute the command. These bindings are a bit gnarly, but we'll stick with it for now. So what we want to do is we want to give it the command, which is, I can't remember what that was, hover something, VSCode. Execute hover provider, and then we need to give it some arguments. So it's saying that the arguments need to be in a resize array, and it's a resize array of option objects, because it's an arbitrary command which you can send anything to. Now if we check this, too many tabs. There we go. Execute command, as if by magic, is on the screen. So the interface is basically any. You can pass any parameters to it, and then it returns a thenable, which is kind of equivalent to a promise. I think a thenable has to have a then function. So what we can do is, I just need to move some windows about. Definitely need another 27-inch screen at least. So what we're going to do is, I don't really want this to return a thenable. So Chris is saying I had to buy additional dongles for the MacBook Pro to be able to plug everything in I need. So what dongles are there? And I've got a Thunderbolt to iPad connector, so I can power my iPad via my USB-C, and I've got my USB-C to power adapter, and then I've got my Thunderbolt 2 to Thunderbolt 3 adapter for my monitor. They're the ones I'm using. But I could do with two 27-inch monitors, probably 3. I mean, my desk isn't big enough for 3 side by side, or maybe it's just one massive 49-inch monitor. That would be pretty cool. I think then ultra-wide monitors, you can put 2 inputs, so you can plug 2 computers in. You could have one computer plugged into 1/3 of the screen, and then another one using 2/3. That might be quite a cool option as well. So let's execute command. I'm going to tweak this interface because I'm not that happy with that one. A Thunderbolt won't map properly to a promise because it's a different type, even though it has the same interface. So we'll just change this into a promise. Actually, I'll leave that in now. I know it's going to be an issue, but I'll change it when we need to rather than assuming I know best right now. So arguments are going to be an array of the URI and the position. So it's saying it doesn't like that because the type URI position, so I've made it a tuple. Now it'll complain because that's a different type. So the arguments has to be a resized array of object option, which is really awkward. So Chris says, I got some USB-C to 3 standard USB 3.1 to plug camera, keyboard and mic. And you see I'm using my onboard webcam in the display, so that's one less. And then I've got USB, there's a USB hub in the monitor, so I've got my Focusrite 2i2 plugged in to my monitor, and then I've got the XLR mic here plugged into the Focusrite. And then Chris says he's using a 32-inch 4K screen. Yeah, that would be pretty nice. I mean, I'm just using a 2K 27-inch screen. I think it's 2K. 2560 by 1440. About a 3K screen. So what we need to do is we need to make this into a resize array of object options. And that'll fix the resize array. So because there's a box stuff inside option map. Yeah, good plan. That's literally just box. I'd be really tempted to cast, but it's less to type. So that will get us back our arguments. I mean, I'm not really happy with the interface. A resizer of option object is a bit balky. We can tweak this later once we deem it's working. We can fiddle with this. So when we execute this command, it's tenable, which, see, what I'd probably do is create a promise. I mean, do we have Fable promise included with this? I can't remember. So Chris says box calls are raised by Fable anyway, so there isn't any runtime. Yeah, fair enough. But does that mean Fable also raises the cast operator as equally as box, like the colon greater than? Yes, cool. And that's all you can do easy. I mean, box is only 3 letters, whereas the cast object is 6, including the space. Negret, that's wrong. Fable.promise. So we'll add this in to make the promises easier to deal with. Oh God, I can't uppercase R's all the time. Packet install. Wait for this to install, should be good. Look in the package file, so we can see the Fable promise. Fable promise, yep, there we go. So Chris says you probably need to also do the .NET restore. Do that anyway. Tell you what, I find if you change anything with Packet, I need to restart VSCode. It never seems to like it. Yeah, so that promise is there now. So then, in our promise, if we've done let bang, execute command, don't know what it returns, and then we would do something like console.info, and hover, and then we put the result in there. And of course, this won't work because the type enable B option is not compatible with promise, because execute command returns a enable rather than the promise, which is a pain, but we'll probably build some adapter. But if we just change this to promise, which has exactly the same interface, because it's a type which has the then method on it, this should let us execute that. And then we can do promise.run. So this execute hover takes arguments which we don't use currently, and then it grabs the active editor, grabs the URI from the active editor if there's an option existing for it. And this is kind of gnarly. I'd probably put this inside a maybe construct, the same as this promise one, but we'll leave it as it is for now because I'm getting ahead of myself. Get it working first, and then it returns a promise. Did anyone ever tell you have a smooth voice? No, they didn't. I think I've got an annoying voice. When I edit my videos, it's horrible to listen back to your own voice. Right. This returns a promise unit, but I think when we get to this part, it's a different return type. So we need to register the command. So we need a name for the command and then a callback. And so this is a function we've just defined. So the name, don't care for now because we need to add that to the config as well. And then execute hover. execute hover, and then what else do we need? This tag, which is optional, we're not going to bother with that, and that returns a disposable. So this is a type mismatch. See, it's expecting an object option back, but it's getting a promise unit back. So we'll return none, and we'll ignore the results of the promise. That probably looks a bit better. So anyway, this should match the signature now. Yeah, it does. So we can execute we can register the command execute hover. This returns us back a disposable. So now we need to make sure that this is disposed afterwards. So we do context. Subscriptions. I can't remember the API. Add. So now we're getting constraint mismatch. The VSCode extension context subscriptions is returning a extension context subscriptions, but it should be disposable. Let's make this a bit smaller. Okay, we'll just shove this full screen for now because I'm not doing anything else. That's weird. Register command returns disposable. So that's the other thing. This subscriptions thing is wrong. So that's expecting an extension context subscription, which has a dispose. These bindings look a bit dodgy. So we'll split our view. I can't remember the command to split. Get rid of our terminal and I'll have a look. Yeah, because I was just about to change it to disposable, but I was just going to show where disposable was defined. There we go. So if we look at the signatures, extension context subscriptions, dispose unit object option, dispose unit object option for the disposable. It's just, sometimes when you're dealing with the TypeScript bindings, they're not giving you exactly what you want. So if we nuke this, go back into subscriptions and just change this to disposable. Go back in the extension and it's magically fixed. So now this should give us enough to run the extension, and what it should do is nothing yet because we haven't added the command into the package JSON. We don't need this. This is because we just copy that other extension as a basis. I was hoping that once we get to the end of this, we can kind of get a minimal example and possibly make it into a .NET project so that if anyone else wants to play with the creating a VS Code extension, they can just run the template very quick. Oh, we don't need that either. Probably don't need all loads of this stuff, just Markdown. Don't need that. Don't need TypeScript. Mocha. I think we need Mocha. Leave them for now. ESLint and need any of that, but we'll just leave them for now. That is me now. Make this kind of generic. Well, let's look at the syntax for this command. Where did I put it? This is why I need a couple of decent monitors to look through. Right, so we need a contributes, and we add commands in here. fsharp chatbot, and then the title. Trying to think of a name, hardest thing, chatbot. Well, let's call it chatbot, it's easier. And then close our braces. Close that. I think that's all we need. Get rid of that trailing comma. I think that's all we need for this. So at this point, we've registered our command, but then you have to put the command inside the package.json as well, because it's a two-step process to register the different commands. Enablement icon. Can't we have zap? I don't know what I'm doing. So we can use an icon which used to represent a command, either a file path or an object with a path, or a theme icon reference like $app. So can we just use $app inside normal quotes? I don't know what I'm doing with this. Is that what I'll do? Just try it. So now, with that part done, we can try running it to see what happens. So, that broke. We've got an error. Can't find module VSCode. Can't find module VSCode. Module/VSCode required stack. Okay. So there's something wrong. And there's nothing particularly wrong with our code. It's very simple. We don't have anything fancy. I'm just going to... Formatting is annoying me, so I'm just going to tweak it out there. I don't like that either, but let's try and cut our lengths down a little bit. So there's nothing particularly wrong with any of this code, it's just something to do with the generated code, I think. It's not found in the module. So if we look in the out folder and have a little look at some of the code that's generated, I'll get rid of this for now. Execute hover looks fine. Ugly code, but there's some nice rainbow brackets there. Const value 1. What the hell is this? And activate, we've got register command, execute hover. And of course we haven't registered the command with a name. I don't think it's that, but we'll fix that first. Package JSON. So I'll register a command with a proper name. So we'll do npm run build. Just want to make sure it's all built. Okay, so that all worked. Try running up a new one of these, see what happens. Same thing again, couldn't find the module. So, can't find the module VSCode. Let's have a look at these Fable definitions. Module via. I don't think this module needs to be there. Oh. Try that. I'm suspecting it's trying to nest the modules because it's the default TypeScript definition. No. Module VSCode. Ah yeah, good. Good shout, Chris. So can I just kill that? Do you just need import star? No. String. I don't even know. Selector from. I think that should work. Yeah, Chris is saying the same thing. Import star VSCode. Yeah, it's strange having module before. It might be because this was called module something before. Anyway. You get more fun. Module VSCode. Right, so what are we using? We're using register command. Yeah, Chris, I've still got watch mode running. I'll restart that. I'm changing all module names, it's probably screwed that up. So let's recompile as watching again. Stick that in the bottom corner. That looks better. No warning. Yes, it's just a module mismatch, and another thing that can catch out quite easy. So, if we view our debug console, clear this guy, and we try to execute the command, and we got one there, chatbot, which is the one we used. And it doesn't have a zap icon like we wanted, or like I wanted. And we got back hover array, which has an object inside it for contents, and then we got back here our abstract member username string, which I think is what we clicked on. So at this point we've replicated what we had in TypeScript, but it's all in pure fsharp with a nice fsharp binding for VSCode as well. But it's kind of still this bit here is very lumpy, and getting these things inside arrays of options is not quite nice. I think what we need to do now is to get execute hover starting up the chat interface. So Chris is saying, I don't think icons are shown in the command palette. It would be if you've bound the command to the button or the UI element. Okay. We'll go back inside here. And I'm not particularly bothered about an icon. Category. We don't care about category either. We only really want chatbot there as a command because I want to invoke it to test it. I mean, when this starts up, what we'll need to do is whenever the chatbot receives a command, we make sure it's the right type of command for it to respond to, and then it will call the command here. Execute the hover provider. So if you say chatbot hover 3622, it will feed that into this. We need to change the arguments to this so it'll take in the position separately, rather than relying on I've got something selected under the caret. Otherwise, whenever you go chatbot, what's that? It would show that in the chat window. So you'd end up with this appearing in the chat window whenever I had my caret on the line and the chatbot was invoked. Which could be an extra command. Chatbot, what's on the caret? And it would tell you the type. Extract property, active text editor, so on. What I need to do now is bring this project over here and open up one in web, which was the chatbot that we were developing. And before we get to that, I'm just going to take a quick break to get a drink of water because my throat's really dry. So I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Okay, so I'm back with a bit of water to wet my throat. So what I'm trying to figure out is I also need to protect the credentials that I'm going to use for my chatbot, because I don't want everybody on the stream to see my OAuth key. So I'm trying to think of the best way to do that. At the moment it's in that env.fs file, and as long as I don't open it, no one will see the credentials, but I need to that's something to figure out in the future, to do with some sort of OAuth authentication and store the secrets locally within some secure storage within VSCode. So that's something to look at in the future too. So anyone who in the future installs this extension will have to go through the OAuth process to store the OAuth key locally. The first thing we can do is we can grab some of this stuff. And we can grab all of this and put this into our throw me away later project. So we want to add in, is it TMI? TMI binding. So what I need to do is create a new module, call it TMI. So it's still called Advent extension. What I'll do is we'll rename this as well. I'll call this a Fable VSCode extension. Capitalize it all up. And what did I forget to rename? So let's update that. And there's something else I've got somewhere. Don't need a solution file. If I reload the window, it should refresh that. There we go. It was just picking up the project in the solution file. So, teammate binding. Also add in another file. We'll call this env. And we'll put him, I think we'll put him right at the top. And then what I'll do is I'll just quickly put these keys in. So I've put the keys in while I was off screen, just so nobody saw the off key. Not that it matters, it's just a chatbot, but you never know. Someone might spam my email account that I've registered it with. So it's TMI module, we've got TMI client in there. What we can then do is I'm basically going to copy some of the stuff from the web app on the right to the one on the left. So when it's activated, let's have a think. On activation, we want to register the command. I mean, the registering the command doesn't really matter because we just need to execute hover. So execute command is really just for our testing purposes. It doesn't really matter a great deal. So activation, we'll add a subscription to register command just so we can invoke it ourselves, just to test it. And then architectural wise, I don't think there's any way to register anything else. I'll just check what's in the API. Completion's kind of stuffed. For some reason. Reload the window again. Oh, get lost. So I've looking commands. Not a completion. See if this still works. Actually, stop this. I'll check. Rerun this. So in our TMI binding, promise is not defined, emit is not defined. That's why completion is probably brought because of a previous file that's not bound. Emit is not defined. Okay, yeah, it's just a couple of references. Shove them in. And check the console again. That's passing away. So promise is not defined, emit not defined. Line 20. On line 20, column 38, the type promise is not defined. And it's not promise on that line, which is odd. Emit is not defined on line 22. Yeah, maybe I didn't save the file. I thought that I did. I kind of. It's just odd it mentioning promise was not defined, but I'm not using promises. Right, so try running it and see what happens. Obviously nothing new is going to happen yet. Isn't. I think that looks like it's working. I mean, just see if chatbot's there. Have a look at our debug console, see if there's something there. Nothing there. Activate chatbot. Yeah, we've got something back in here. Yes, it's still working. So now we've got the chatbot integration stuff in there. And let me think. We'll just start copying some stuff from here that we did earlier on. Grab a bunch of options that we built before. Create a client, we'll connect. So I need an opened for TMI. I should get rid of those, and at this point we should activate the console, activate the extension, create options, connect to the client with the options, and connect. last thing we need to do is on message, and if it's not our own message, then we'll write it to the console log. Just trying to think on the structure we could use to indicate what we want it to get the hover for. So we'll just match on message. Can we do message? Just kind of split the first half. So I don't think this is valid syntax. Substring, isn't it? I thought there was a slice for a string as well. I can't remember the syntax for a string slice, but I just want to take the first 5 characters and do a pattern match on that to pass the commands that we're going to use. So substring. Start index 0. So it's not showing me the overload, is it? That's something now, it doesn't show you all the overloads. Substring start index. Oh, come on, stop it. It's a bit weird. I'm sure it used to show all of the overloads to substring. Because if you're looking at it, you'd think there's only one. Not to 6? I don't know. Anyway, if it's hover, then we'll print otherwise we're going to do nothing. So if you take the first 6 characters, see bang, bang hover. If it starts with bang hover, then we'll print that, otherwise we won't. Save that. Restart watch, because I can't remember what I've done since. Wait for this to compile and we'll see what happens. So the streams kind of stayed fairly stable today, around at 5,500 kbs, which is pretty good. No dropouts yet. Right. Run this extension. Broken. Can I find module TMI.js? Okay. So why can't it find TMI.js? Got module TMI. Ah, because we haven't installed it. It would be helpful. Right. I'll start watch again. So I was wondering, for those that were watching, if this was kind of an interesting project compared to the others I suggested. One of them being like a platform or overhead game. Another example being using the compiler to generate the code with something like Myriad that I built a while back. And the idea for the project was I've forgotten what the other one was. Building a CPU emulator with fsharp. So there's several different projects I was thinking of doing in parallel with this, but this was just the one that was that caught my attention first. So just curious on anyone watching on their thoughts on the other projects as well, if they would be more interested in this one. I guess we had more viewers earlier on, but a few of them are dropped off now. Probably fell asleep. So we've got our chatbot. Looks like it's joined the channel. Can't actually see it in the chat though. No, it's not showing up. It might not show up in chat until it's actually used. Cool. So Chris has invoked that. Well, then if we do yeah, cool. So it's responding to bang hover, but nothing else, which is cool. So in theory, if we modify the command, the chat client's still not showing the bot. So in my log it says it's connected. Ah, ping timeout. So it looks like it's timed out. Let's not worry about that for now. Look at our extensions. So on hover, we only print out to the console. We'll still do that. Then we'll do substring 6. And then from the trimmed message, we're going to assume that it's, what can we assume? It's 2 numbers. So line column, trimmed message dot split, why has it shown that? So we're going to split by a space. So this is going to get us 2 elements or more. It should give us back an array as well. Trim message, substring, line column equals elements should give us back. Why did that come back with an object? Character array. String it. There we go. So we're getting back an array. So we'll match elements. With. And we're going to match it with. Use pattern match syntax to match only 2 elements. Otherwise, simply don't do anything. At this point we've got our line column, and then we can invoke our hover command. Which is execute hover. The URI we're going to assume we're going to assume that the URI is the current one. So we just need to grab the arguments from args. I'm going to actually focus on doing this like this for now. Line column. Oh, they use a tuple or something else. So position. Position has all abstract but with a line and zero-based character value, zero-based line. So we can use the JS options. So JS options, and then font p position. In brackets. And then we'll do position dot line equals line and p dot character so p dot line float. Line cannot be set. Oh, brilliant. So there's not creational stuff for this. Also, we can use position static. Oh, I completely forgot how to do this with Fable. It's a bit of a pain. So position static, we'll try that instead. So we've got VSCode position. Okay. So I've got VSCode open. VSCode, yeah, I don't need that bit. So it's just position.create. Doesn't it? Line float, character float. Floats are pretty horrendous. So anyway, that would be... What do we need it to be? It needs to be same type. So we need to box that off. I think it needs to be an object option. I can get rid of this line because the position needs to be passed in via line and column. And I think execute hover takes line column. But when registered our command takes a line and a column. We're not really bothered about registering the command now because what happens, Chris, when I call that command with no parameters? What would happen? Because obviously before it was getting past an empty arguments array, but now it won't be. Not that it matters because we're going to be calling it separately. So anyway, this got a line and a column. Need to execute the hover for that line and column. Line being a float, but it isn't a float, of course, because it's a string. So that line equals float line. Float call. So I'm going to execute hover. We're passing in the line and the column. So what we'll do for now, kind of running out of time to do too much more today. Line and column. So match element, the value of constructor element is not defined. It's because it's elements. Execute hover, expected to have type A star B, but a C option. Oh, okay, yeah. Ignore this. So this is just long-winded because I want it to just print out. I don't expect the hover to work. There's probably going to be some issue with it, but I just want it to be able to print something out in the absence of any other information. And then if it's failing, we'll just assume it's 0, 0. This path won't get hit anyway because we'll be invoking a command. The word floats. So we'll either get a line and column back, or it'll come back with 0, 0 if there isn't two elements in this array via the pattern match. Save that off. We'll check everything's still running. Run the watch. And that one's broke. Execute hover. Execute hover's failing because don't know. Expecting a reset array, object option, but given a float. Yeah, okay. So So that's expecting it to be resize array. Quick and dirty. Args1. Doesn't like that because it's been using object of indeterminate type. Yeah, Chris, I don't really need to register it, but I was just curious what happens when I invoke it, and because there's no parameters to collect. So when it's invoked by VSCode, where does the parameter information come from? Because obviously not every command is devoid of any parameters. So yeah, we'll keep it as it was, line column. Won't bother to register because we don't really care now. That part was kind of proved. Compilation succeeded. We'll give this a quick whirl. See what happens. It comes back. Chatbot active. The chatbot client joined the channel. Although it's still not showing up in there. It's a bit weird. And we'll try. What we need to do is so Chris says, well, the info comes from the UI, from your mouse position, cursor position, etc., dependent on the command. Code manages that internally. So if I register a command and I need to take the mouse position, how would code know to pass the mouse position? I'm assuming there's some other setup elsewhere that injects the command somewhere. I'm just curious to set that up at a later date if we need it. I don't really like this disconnect between commands and the passing arrays of objects. It's kind of horrendous. Right, so I tried that hover command and it's come back 0, 0 because it didn't pass for whatever reason. So we're grabbing the trimmed message, substring 6. Retrieve the substring from the instance. The substring starts at the specified character position. So starting at substring 6 from bang hover. And then we're splitting. We probably need to pass in string split options. I'm struggling with there is an overload for split where you can pass string split options, but I'm just not getting past the information. This isn't showing all of the overloads. That's right, it's because it's not on that one. Split. So Chris says, I'm not sure if you can define a command that is somehow directly connected to a mouse movement. What you can do is subscribe to events for selection change, etc., and then pass it to your command. So really, when you register a command, you really register it for something else to programmatically pass the parameters to it. It's just a bit fuzzy how you connect systems up that way, that's all. String split options. So we've got split, separate account, string split options. That's what I want to do. So what's wrong with that? No overloads match for method split. I think it's because it doesn't like the character array. Available overloads, parameters array. Right, there we go. Save that. We'll give this another last whirl, see if it actually passes that. So that's all connected. Okay, so that's worked. And it's actually invoked with 2010, which I've done in the chat client, and then that's echoed that back. So at this point, what we could do is execute hover. I'm going to have to change execute hover so it actually returns a result rather than just doing the promise that eats the result and prints it to the console. Unfortunately, I've run out of time for today, so we've made quite a bit of progress. We've got the VSCode add-in, all in fsharp. We've executed the hover, we've passed the results really crudely, and we're kind of ready to modify execute hover to return a promise that we can wait for, which we can then print back to the chat window, which shouldn't take too long on the next stream. Next stream will be either Friday, sometime over the weekend, or Monday. My regular stream days are going to be Mondays and Wednesdays around 5 PM GMT. And that's all I've got time for today. I hope you've enjoyed this little stream, and I will hopefully see you again next time. Thanks for watching.